Writing is lonely work. Writing can be maddening, frustrating work. But writing doesn't have to be work. The challenge for all of us writers is the same. Whether we are newbie writers or established writers with dozens of credits and something resembling an actual bank balance. How to face the blank page, how to make sense of the notes that we have received, how to improve our skills, and how to keep things fun and exciting for us. I'll start with that last idea first, how to keep things fun and exciting. There are people who will say that new writers should have no trouble keeping things fun and exciting. My guess is either those people are not writers or they have been writing for so long that they have forgotten what it was like to be young and inexperienced. Keeping things fresh and exciting might be even more difficult for new writers, and I'll tell you why. A new writer may not have all of the tools necessary to cope with all of the aspects of crafting a story. Here are a couple of things I do to keep things fun and interesting for myself. I maintain a list of ideas. This way, every time I feel the need to write a new spec script, I don't have to come up with an idea, I just have to choose one. I like to mess with genre conventions whenever I can. Genre conventions are a great starting off point when you are trying to write a script. It takes very little research to figure out what elements have to be there in a particular script of a particular genre. Now, obviously, what is required in a slasher film is completely different from what is required from a rom-com. Now, what I like to do sometimes is mash genres together. So imagine if you set out to make a slasher film with romantic elements. Depending upon how you end the story, it could either be a romantic slasher film or a slasher rom-com. You get to choose. See? Fun already. Alright, now let's talk a little about how I try and improve my skill. I watch a lot of YouTube videos and read many articles about improving. Not just my writing, but also my business and self-esteem. All of the bells and whistles that are essential to becoming a better version of myself. Now, a lot of those videos and articles tend to have advice that is some version of strive to be 1% better than you were in the previous iteration. Now, I don't always find this advice useful because I don't know how to quantify my performance on any creative task so that I can say, okay, that was 1% better than the last time. So here's what I do instead. I break the skill down into its various moving parts and try and work on each individual part separately. I always enjoyed coming up with stories that had multiple intertwining threads that needed to be told in a non-linear fashion. So these days with my newer projects, I'm trying to tell linear stories. Another thing I'm obsessed with is the way my script looks on the page. I am on a never-ending quest to keep my scene descriptions as sparse as possible. But what I have to be careful of is that my scene descriptions do not become so sparse that it is not possible for the reader to understand what I'm trying to say and visualize it the same way I see the scene. Now let's talk about how to deal with notes. If you are at that stage in your career where you're receiving notes from either a producer or even friends and family, it is important for you to know how to process those notes so that you can take whatever is essential to improve the next draft of your screenplay. I have received well-considered notes that have made my rewriting job very easy. And on other occasions, I have received rambling feedback that makes me wonder whether the reader and me are talking about the same script. If I know my characters really well, I know how they would react in any situation. This makes it easier for me to act upon the suggestions that require my characters to react. Those are the notes that I tackle first, and more often than not, those changes are good enough to take the script to the next level. And finally, let's talk about the biggest challenge of all. How to face the blank page. So there are a couple of things I do to make sure that my writing progresses at a decent pace. First, I don't start writing a script until I feel like the story is almost overflowing out of me. This means sometimes I need to let the story marinate for a while. I finished a screenplay last year, but I'd had the idea 6 to 8 years ago. It took me that long to finally feel like I was ready to tackle the story. The other thing I do to avoid the curse of the blank page is to maintain an ideas document. Every time I have a half thought or the glimmering of an idea, I put it down in the ideas document. And when I'm looking for something new to write, the ideas document is the thing I open up first. I cannot stress this enough. The ideas document has saved me from depression so many times. Keeping myself motivated in the face of rejection and ghosting is not easy, so I will take whatever help I can get. But what about you? What would you do if you were feeling stuck and lacking motivation? How would you pull yourself out of the rut? Leave me a comment and let's discuss. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All of that stuff helps this channel. And if you are already subscribed, please activate that bell icon so that you can be notified when our next video is online. Now go create something awesome.